Yes, Chef.
With Ryan.
Ryan is in the studio. It's time for Yes, Chef. Peter is excited. How are you, Ryan?
I'm good, man. Are you excited to try some Galbijjim?
I'm so excited. Our listeners are on board. We got Anne from Singapore saying, I like Galbijjim. We got the photo up. I'm looking at it on Instagram right now. Look how delicious that is. The succulent ribs and juicy marinade. It's going to be so good. Thank you, Ryan, by the way.
My pleasure. I was eating a bunch of this last night.
Yeah.
I couldn't help myself. I made it. I made it yesterday evening, and I was trying to leave it alone and not eat it, and actually woke up in the middle of the night, and I ate quite a bit of it. But I saved you some.
Please tell me there's some left.
And I've got it hot here for you.
Are you serious? I was just saying before, I've never had cold Galbijjim because I expected it cold, but brilliant.
Today the cooler is a hot box.
Amazing. So you got up in the middle of the night and tried to eat my Galbijjim.
Still really warm. Feel how hot it is.
Oh wow, it's really hot. Yeah. Wow. I can smell it without even opening the lid. Oh yes. Oh my goodness, Ryan, you have outdone yourself. Look at that.
Baby.
If you're watching the video radio, and you should do so today, if you don't do so on any other day, delicious ribs marinated. Looks so succulent, don't they? Oh my goodness.
I was going to give you a hard time, and I was going to maybe make a joke and tell Peter that this was some kind of strange type of meat that I did, but no, it's too late now. This is actually kind of maybe one of the older traditional ways that Galbijjim was done. I used veal with this, actually. So,
wait, are you serious?
Yeah, it's beef veal, buddy.
Beef veal? What's beef veal?
It's veal.
But what is veal? I always get confused with that name.
It's a younger cow.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Like 6 months or
does it taste any different?
Oh, it's awesome.
Is it better than an adult cow?
Yeah, it's really tender. The bones are smaller. It's delicious. Like veal stock, demi-glaze. Oh man, this is what makes your food taste. Those sauces that you get in classic French cuisine.
I feel so ignorant because, they sell a lot of veal in the supermarket in the UK. I always thought veal was like a euphemism for deer or something like that, but it's young cow.
Yeah. Veal is very popular around the world. In Korea, you don't see it very often unless it's imported. This is Australian veal.
Oh, really?
I went to meet my butcher yesterday, and we were talking about all the different cuts.
Yeah.
Do you know? Okay, do you know about why galbi or galbi, these cuts with the bone?
Yeah.
So everybody's heard of like Korean galbi, or LA galbi, and there are some cuts of meat there. Now there's a bunch of different ribs in the cow, right?
Yeah.
And you can imagine there's different muscles that run through there, and there's along those ribs there's different cuts that are better than others.
Of course, I guess so.
Well, there's one particular part, and like the first few, it's like rib 3, 4, 5 or 2, 3, 4. Okay. And it's called serratus ventralis. Okay.
Wow.
This one
scientific name.
This one little portion, and that's the one you get when you go to like the high end beef galbi, sutbul, there's charcoal, and there are those strips.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That kind of hang off the ribs.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Sometimes they'll hang off, or right next to the rib is actually like a line of fat, and then there's another line that's this muscle. If it doesn't look like that, if it doesn't have this like really marbled kind of thin strip, then you're maybe getting galbi that is from ribs 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, yada yada yada, which is also great.
Sure,
but even butchers around the world that deal with a lot of beef, they'll often tell you that, the filet mignon is great. And it's often considered, like Chateaubriand, it's considered this, the best cut.
Yeah.
But a lot of these butchers, I think for a long time, they've known this is kind of the secret cut. And in Korean cuisine, that galbi that's so famous.
Yeah.
And what's in this as well is that cut.
Really?
If it has that there, that's why
Wow.
You love it so much. It has this like pop. It takes really sweet marinades really well. It's pretty
the
amazing.
best type of beef I think I've had personally is the Korean beef here, the galbi, or also the delectable here. If you get it from a really good place, the marbling is amazing. That's the sirloin steak, right? The really marbled sirloin.
It's the way the fat is in that piece of meat. This one like little part, where it kind of pops, and you get that sweet marinade on there, and then as that fat pops,
the fat
and
inside
that
is so
charcoal, oh man, it's just amazing. It's not like any other part of the cow.
Yeah, for me, it tops the Chateaubriand by far. Like I think, I don't know why, but I think that Western, well, in particular the UK, they have a different taste for meat. They don't like it so fatty.
Right.
Like they like fillet steaks.
Yes,
and the Chateaubriand
sometimes. Right.
Yeah, but for me, no, it's got to have a lot of fat in there, marbled right the way through.
I love ribeye and
it's all good, especially when it's on the bone like this. So a bit of intro into this, I suppose. It often gets served at holidays or when we're treating a very important guest or even celebrating a birthday, any of the big occasions.
Because these are special cuts and they cost a little bit more. Actually, it's one of the most expensive parts in Korea. To get
of the cow, especially if you're getting hanu, the Korean beef.
Absolutely,
right. So the braised short ribs, Galbijjim, very popular with foreigners, and you're going to describe how to make this as well.
Yeah. There's...
While you're doing that, can I first try it?
Go for it.
It's just sitting there. It's getting cooler.
Please.
So you explain away. I'm going to even use my hands because it's a rib bit. Okay.
It's really nice and tender.
Yes. Yeah. So how do we make this, Ryan? While I'm enjoying it,
I want to see your reaction first.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it's got a little spice to it as well. The marinade.
Oh,
I like that.
I hope
really
I didn't
like
hit
that.
it too much. I had to put my own little ghost pepper powder on there, just a tiny bit.
A bit of ghost pepper powder. It's
Yeah,
got
only,
a real kick
only
to
the
it.
hottest pepper in the world, just for you, buddy.
Wow.
It's not that hot though, right? I just put a tiny bit.
No, but I think for your average Westerner eating this, it would be quite a kick.
It's a surprise, but it doesn't hurt.
No.
Right?
I like it.
Okay.
I like it. But for people who really don't handle spice well, it might be a bit too hot. But that is delicious. Amazing, yeah.
Thanks, man. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's you can really get involved with this recipe, or you can do it kind of simply. Mainly, what you want to do is get this cut. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you want to get the ribs, cut down the bone, right, or through the bone, so that you get these cross sections. So they're about yay big. And
is that common in the States to cut it like that?
Less common. You can still get short ribs, of course. Mm-hmm. In Argentina, they often cut them like this, but then they'll leave more meat on them, and they're like cubes. But an important part of this is the first step is you want to soak the meat and get rid of a lot of the blood, and then boil the meat, and then throw away that water, which freaked me out when I first saw it. I was like, why are you wasting this flavor and stock?
Yeah, the stock, right?
But what it's about is it's about cleaning and taking off the fat so that it becomes a leaner dish. Now, I didn't trim these. I left the fat on because I like it. But traditionally in Korea, you'll really trim off like all the fat that you can.
The excess, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then so boil for 10, 15 minutes. Now, sometimes people will put ginger in that water, garlic in that water, other ingredients there, even though that water may just be thrown out, right?
Yeah.
But then you take those pieces of meat that have been boiled for 10, 15 minutes and rinse them and really wash off all that.
cold water.
In cold water, and wash off all that, all the fat that you can. And then they go into a braising liquid. And all that means is, you're going to combine salty, sweet, savory all together with toasted sesame oil, soy sauce, water, and then some kind of sweetener, which could be pear, could be Asian pear. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah. So good.
Or honey. But sometimes people use just corn syrup, mulyo, which is kind of rice syrup, or just sugar. And some onions and garlic, of course, a little ginger. And then you can go all out and get dates in there, the Korean dates. You can do the ginkgo nuts, the unheng. You could do all sorts of other things. This one has the carrot, the classic, the carrots.
You've got to have the carrot,
the mushrooms, and these radishes. Now, some of them are a little tough. These came from my farm, and I let them grow a little too much. So
that's a radish?
So I'm sorry if you get a little fibrous bit on there, but
Is that's not very common, right? To put in a rat. Oh, the moo.
Oh, moo, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
this
is that
actually
your version
the
of a moo?
smaller radish. Yeah, I had them on the farm, and they were getting overgrown, so I decided to use them. But beware on these, because sometimes they'll be a little fibrous because I let them grow too much.
That carrot was like the best carrot ever. And for people who don't like carrots, I really recommend you eat a carrot from the Galbijjim because it's got all the marinade in it. It doesn't taste carroty. I'm not a fan of carrots, maybe you can tell. But with the marinade, it tastes so good. Kind of falls apart like a potato.
As long as a carrot
almost.
doesn't taste like a carrot,
Then I love it, yeah. I hate raw carrots the most. And also the mushrooms. What mushrooms are these? These are the good ones, right? Shiitake mushrooms, good for your health as well. And they've all absorbed this marinade. And there is quite the kick to it. Do you not think? I love it, but it's a kick. My nose is starting to sweat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My
It does build a little bit.
I love it.
Now, these are, you can use fresh, but these were dried mushrooms. And then you just soak them for about an hour in cold water, and they'll start to plump back up. And a lot of times folks will slice them more, but I just like them big, chewy bits.
And I don't know, I think they taste just as good almost as the fresh ones. Like when you've soaked them and when you've cooked them in a marinade like that, you can't tell the difference that much at all. Yeah, they're so juicy. I do apologise if there's lots of eating noise, but it is delicious, and I want to give you the real feeling that you're eating this together with us, even though we're the ones enjoying it. It is delicious. But once you've put all those things in the kind of marinade for braising, how long do you need to cook this to get it so tender and so good?
Well, that'll depend on your ribs. You know, if you've got, all you do is go for at least probably an hour.
On a low heat.
Yeah, bring it up to a boil for a few minutes and then drop it down to a low and cover it. And make sure you've got enough liquid in there where it won't evaporate out somehow and dry up and you lose your entire dish.
Oh, that'd be awful.
But if you let it go and then every once in a while just poke it with a chopstick and see if it's tender enough to kind of fall off that chopstick easily. You don't want to make it so tender where it falls off the bone already.
Completely, no.
Traditionally, you want to be able to, kind of bite this off.
Absolutely. This is the perfect texture, I feel, where you can see the meat is still on the bone. It won't fall off without a little hint. And then you kind of wrap your teeth around it and just eat that all. There's the fatty bit in between as well. Oh, it's so delicious. And if you take the dish out as well, you can see there's still a bit of the marinade, what did we call this? The stock, the soup, I don't know.
The braising liquid, yeah.
The braising liquid in there. And that's great because having that with some rice, it's amazing. Like putting your spoon in there, taking out a spoonful, putting on some white rice. Oh, it tastes so good. And then what they'll sometimes do at the restaurants, the Galbijjim restaurants, is they'll cook this for you or they'll bring it out in a big toaster, the stone pot. Yeah. And then once you've eaten all the beef, they'll put the rice in there and then take it away and fry it all together with the seaweed. Oh, it's so good. That is almost the highlight of the dish. But I'd have to say, no, these ribs are one of the best ever. The veal you've used, it really is tender.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? Yeah. Have you ever tried to make this or
I have made it at home, maybe not personally, with my wife a couple of times. And sometimes it tastes amazing, but sometimes, I don't know, we get it wrong. Like you said, sometimes when we overcook it, it still tastes good, but all the meat has come off, and it's kind of just like a almost beef stew then. It still tastes delicious because of this braising liquid.
Did you think this was as sweet as it usually is, or do you think it's not as sweet? I don't know.
No, it's a bit less sweet, and then the spice is definitely more than I usually put in.
Yeah,
certainly.
I was looking at a whole bunch of different recipes, but then I just couldn't. All of them called for way more pear or honey or something, and I just couldn't do it. I don't like things to be so super sweet, but one nice thing about that, if you do have the heat, that'll balance it off. And what I like, some places will do, after they're kind of finishing off this dish, they'll let that braising liquid reduce down so much to where it becomes like a syrup, or a glaze, and they just keep tossing it in a hot pan, and it just kind of starts to stick to all the pieces of meat.
Oh wow!
And kind of firms up.
That sounds so good.
That works too, yeah.
Amazing. So, I've seen this on signs sometimes. It would say 매운 Galbijjim in places. So that's the spicy one. So maybe that's even spicier than this in some cases.
And that one's usually done with pork ribs.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah, the 매운 one, because I don't know, they don't want to sully the taste of the beef with the spiciness too much. And then the regular Galbijjim, it can be, I guess, up to this spice level, but it could also be not spicy at all, depending on where you go and how you ask them to make it. Delicious, delicious, Ryan. Thank you so much. You've made my month, actually. We're going to be back in part 2. We might talk a little bit more about Galbijjim. We'll read out your messages as well. Anything in your fridge, let us know, and we'll come up with some delicious recipes. I'm definitely going to eat this in the song break. All right, it's time for some Boa featuring Gecko. Who are you? Who are you? Yeah, you listening. What are you doing listening to #DailyK, wasting your time? No, I'm kidding, of course. You're investing in your futures listening to us. It's Yes Chef Part 2. Ryan in the studio with, this has got to be my all-time favourite week.
I can see it on your face. But
it's so good.
You mean you like this more than the sea cucumber?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a tiny bit. The mushrooms are amazing. I can't stop thinking about those. The texture of that shiitake mushroom after it's been dried and then made again is absolutely divine, isn't it? Yeah, you can see by our empty plates here, not very attractive for you guys, but very delicious for us, how much we're enjoying this.
Have you ever seen how they grow those shiitake mushrooms?
I thought you were going to say how they grow those ribs, and I was like, is it some Matrix style where they got cows like plugged into things? The mushrooms, no. How do they?
It's really cool, man. They like cut these holes into logs of particular types of wood, and then they've got to leave kind of these spores there for a long time. The wood has to kind of age right to get the really good ones. It takes like 2 and 3 years.
Wow,
it's so awesome.
So in like a cut down log or a fallen tree.
I was out camping in Woraksan a few years back, and one of the storekeepers there in the park just had a giant basket of them. She was like, "Here, take some. We have too many."
What?
And it's because they grow them there themselves, and when they're really kicking out a lot, she's got more than she knows what to do with. So
that's amazing.
It's
I want to go that way because shiitake mushrooms in the UK at least, they're quite premium, like for their health benefits and things like this, and they're a little bit sparse, I guess, in the UK. We've got lots of other types of mushrooms that are very cheap, like button mushrooms. I think they're called the yangsongis here. But shiitakes, they're seen as like a real premium mushroom. But here in Korea, they're often cheaper than the other types that are cheaper in the UK.
It's a perishability thing,
Yeah.
But dried, I'm sure you can find these all over the world dried. And like you said, you love these, and they've been, dried up and then reconstituted, so it works.
Yeah, so they'll keep for ages as well in your store cupboards, right?
Actually, if you use the fresh ones, you'd have to put them in really towards the end of the braising, or else they would just fall apart.
Oh, okay. You wouldn't want to cook them for too long, right?
Right.
So lots of messages coming in here. Seems like we're making everyone drool. Annie from Singapore, I want to eat it too. It looks so delicious. In addition to the descriptions of the taste, I am drooling here already. Yeah, maybe a last close-up here that you can get. That Ryan, did you cook this last night, right?
I did.
And then you reheated it this morning, and it is absolutely divine. I mean, in here, let me just show you. If you're watching the video radio, we got the shiitake mushrooms, which I'm saying are like my favorites. That's right at the edge there, so juicy. We got the carrots as well, which are very big. Like I never use. Is that like a football carrot or something? How have you cut that, Ryan? That's so interesting.
Actually, I was a little lazy with the knife skills last night.
I
was
can
late
tell,
making this.
but
you're supposed to
good.
Traditionally you cut them into round shapes.
Yeah,
and
these radishes as well.
Those are.
It looks like
you're making me look bad, Peter.
No,
Come
but
on.
They taste so good. And then the main event, let me just get a rib for you guys to see. It's the bone is cut like a cross section kind of thing, right?
Yeah, normally if you're buying short ribs, they're twice as long as those, and then I just asked them to rip them through the bandsaw all the way down.
Okay,
and
to make them manageable.
And often you if you wanted more bites, you could do it twice. I left these kind of big.
Yeah, I like it with a bit of chunk to them. And in some places they'll leave it really long, in the toisot, in the stone bowl where they serve them. So good. Will from Canada says, it's always a treat to have you on the show, Chef Ryan. I just wish someone would invent a teleportation device so that you could send some of the food to your loyal listeners. Well, we did develop that device, but we're keeping it under wraps when it's my favorite food. We're not going to send it out to you guys, okay? When it's something horrible, then we'll send it to everyone, okay? Siska, Annie and myself would love to be sitting in front of you during this and every episode. And one question: if you wanted to add smoke, at what point would you put the ribs on the smoker? Could you incorporate that into this dish?
Absolutely. Smoke and sweet can go really well together. So I would do it first. I would do it before any braising. But you got to be a little careful about how much smoke you hit them with, because different kinds of wood, like normally in Texas we'll use mesquite on beef, on brisket. Mm-hmm. But mesquite can kind of get, how do I describe it? It's almost like soapy.
Oh, what?
When it gets into a broth, it can almost be kind of soapy if you hit it too much.
As in the flavor, or like the bubbles?
No, just the flavor.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
It's just kind of astringent or a soapy kind of flavor. So,
wow.
So be careful with the type of smoke. If you wanted to do a smoked one, I would get the pork ribs and I would smoke them with hickory, or apple or plum or something like that, and then braise them. And I bet you, then you really wouldn't go wrong.
Oh, that sounds good. I don't think in Korea that's ever done, is it? You smoke the ribs before you put them in a galbijjim.
I'm gonna open the first smoked galbijjim.
You should.
I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
I'll definitely go there, but it may not be good as this, because this is pretty perfect, I'd have to say. You don't need anything else, right? So Siska, talking about the heat in it, the spiciness, saying, yeah, so far I've just tried the non-spicy one, but it would be nice if there is a little kick to it. And you're right, Siska, it adds an extra dimension, I think. Unfortunately, when I go and eat it, because of the kids, we always get it, we ask them, don't put any spice in it. Right. And it's just missing like 5% of something, right? She says, I love galbijjim. The closing part when we add the rice to the leftover sauce and stir it is so good. And also the shiitake mushrooms, I love them because they taste really meaty. That's true, right? Because Kayla also sent us a message from the US saying, I always see people eat and eating meat and love it, but I'm slightly uncomfortable because I'm a vegetarian. So in that case, could you do this with a vegetarian substitute? Maybe just even the shiitake mushrooms cut up into big chunks?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes folks will, when I'm doing a pop-up restaurant event, they'll message me like, oh, I'm a vegetarian, can I come? And I'm like, challenge accepted. To try to make flavors work and give them a similar experience without the meat. It's kind of challenging, but it can be done. The shiitakes, portobellos, there's such a meatiness there. A dried tofu, you could try something like that.
But I wonder, how much of the meat is adding to the flavor of this dish? Like in terms of within the shiitake mushroom, is there a lot of meat flavor there?
Quite a bit, but don't be fooled. A lot of it is soy, toasted sesame oil, and a sweetener like the Asian pear, sugar, or honey.
So it could still taste fairly similar to this.
Absolutely.
If so, then Kayla, really try that, because these shiitake mushrooms are maybe almost up there with the meat, for me at least. The juiciness and how they just feel in your mouth. The texture is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for all your messages. So today we have been talking about galbijjim. So if you get invited to a Korean friend's house and they're serving this, you'll know that you're being treated as a VIP, right? It was served to kings in the past as well, Ryan. So thank you. I am King Peter, as you know. So thank you so much. So every week, can we have a king's food, please? I want the obanseg or something.
I'll do my best. How about next time? Next time it'll be the bivalves for you, the sea squirts or something.
No. That's not a king's food, is it?
Oh, it might be, I think.
Well, you can tune in every Tuesday for Yes Chef on #DailyK, keeping you up to date with the latest news from Korea in the form of hashtags as well, every single day from 9 to 11 a.m. And you can watch a video of this segment on Arirang Radio's YouTube channel at a later date, so please do so. All right, it's time now to get to what's in our fridge.